What's up, guys? This is Post-Production Pie with SLRLounge.com. Welcome to another Constructive Critique session. Now, I thought since we're just getting this series started out, it doesn't hurt to do a couple more to get started. So if you guys would like to participate in the Constructive Critique section, go to our forums, which can be accessed right here from SLRLounge.com. We're under Photography Learning and then Constructive Critique. Once again, be sure to read the sticky just so you guys know the rules before participating, and let's get started. We ended off in the last video on this baby photography feedback. Please, let's go to jewelry. I love the kind of video format for Constructive Critique. It kind of gives me a chance to explain more and give you guys a little more detail into what we're thinking. So he says, Missile Tink sent this picture and he said, I took a picture from my friend's online store, but I couldn't figure out how I can lay it on the table and show the heart-shaped crystal pendant. I laid it on our coffee table to show the reflection on the black surface or how it'll work. Please feel free to leave your comments and suggestions. As always, guys, be sure to let us know exactly, if there's a specific area that you want us to critique. So let's take a look at the photo. Now, Missile Tink, one thing that you probably want to do is if you're going to do a lot of jewelry photography is to buy stands. We have several stands in the studio for whenever we do something that's jewelry related, and basically it mirrors kind of wherever these items are going to be used. So for example, for a bracelet, it would kind of mirror a wrist. For a necklace, it would kind of be a bust shape with a neck, and then you can hang it on it. So it's kind of a nice way of presenting, items like this. And you can also get ones that hang it, so you can just shoot off of reflections and things like that too. It's an easier way than just laying it on a table, because laying on a table, this is a nice table and it's a good shot, but it looks a little bit more nicer and just kind of a little bit extra production value to it. Anyway, let's talk about this shot. Now, overall, I wouldn't worry so much with the forum, guys. It does reduce a little bit the quality of the image, so we kind of always skip over that. Generally, you can, imagine that the image is going to be sharper and not have like any artifacting. And if it bugs you guys, just link to like a Flickr page for that image as opposed to actually uploading via the forum. But this image looks great. It's a little bit underexposed, and guess what? The user feedback has been awesome for this photo. Most everybody talked about kind of boosting the clarity a little bit. They talked about kind of the reflection might be a little bit underexposed. So we have a lot of people in the community that are very experienced and that they know what you're talking about. So again, I would kind of mirror that. I would say the same thing. It's a little bit underexposed. We can use a clarity brush, and if you have the Lightroom 4 preset system, a perfect preset for brushes for this photo is the General Detail Booster, and just drag that over kind of the crystal pendant right here. It'll make it look really nice. Now, one thing I'm not a big fan of is these heavy vignettes like this, where you can clearly tell there's just a circular vignette. It's okay, I think, to darken the image edges, but in my opinion, I kind of try and avoid noticeable vignettes like this. Even though it's bringing attention into the center, we can do it in a more subtle way by just subtly burning the edges as opposed to darkening this much. The only other distracting thing to me for this shot is this kind of area of black right here. It looks as though it's almost kind of a mistake just because we have detail all around this entire area with this one area right here kind of just darkened. But again, would this shot do a good job of selling this piece of jewelry? I think so. I think it'd do just fine. But just take these things into consideration that it could be a better production value, especially when you're selling things on the internet. More production value in your images is going to mean more sales, because really the image is all you have to go off of when you are buying things on the internet. All right, so great job. Let's go on to the next image. I'm going to go back to Constructive Critique. Let's drop right down to Baby Photography by Machiavelli. Now, I think we critiqued one of Machiavelli's photos last time, and this is another great one. And I love this photo. This is one that is kind of a perfect example of something that we might feature for a how you shot it kind of section. Good lighting. He has, I think, he mentioned that he had 3 or 4 ProPhoto strobes set up for this shot. And I love it. It's got great soft light coming in the front. We have good catch lights. We have great lighting on the hair. You can see kind of the hair is popping off the background. It's not blending in with everything. We can also see some rim lighting on the actual box itself. So you've done a really nice job with the overall lighting. It's a great shot. With the composition, I'm a little bit, again, kind of thrown off because it's not quite rule of thirds. It's not quite symmetry. It's kind of this in-between thing. But again, I dig it. I like the way it looks. I just would say, kind of go with some sort of compositional rule, because we're not, there's not really strong diagonals, so I'd probably stick with one or the other, either symmetry or rule of thirds. It doesn't really matter, whatever your vision is for it. But right now we kind of got this little in-betweener look going on. As far as the post-production, I dig it as well. Now, I mentioned in a previous post that I think with infant photography, generally we try and go with a little bit softer of a look. This looks like it has a little bit of boosted clarity to it, but it looks fine. It works with the image because it's kind of like this, this hard box kind of feeling, and that additional clarity brings that out. What I might do is kind of like keep the clarity a little bit softer, keep it a little bit less detailed over the skin surfaces, then use, say, a brush to bring out the clarity in all the other objects around them. So they look slightly softer, at least for the skin areas, and then you kind of boost the detail anywhere else that you want it. But I love the shot. It's kind of unorthodox, and that's what really makes it work well. It's not like the typical infant photo that you would see. The last thing I might mention is just that this little area of towel, or this little area behind where you can see kind of the blanket behind the shoulder, it looks a little bit distracting, mainly because we have light falling on all the other areas of the towel and it brings out the detail there. Here we don't. And so I'm kind of left puzzling, or just thinking if that's kind of a shadow that the baby's casting, or what that is. And it makes me, as a viewer, it just makes me think, what is that? And that kind of is something that becomes distracting. That thought of, trying to figure out what that is exactly pulls you out of the overall vision of the photo. So I'd either tuck that towel in a little bit, or just make sure it's appropriately lit, like it's lit just like the rest of the towel. Being that there's a shadow being cast, tucking it in is probably the easiest option. All right, so that's the only bit of critique there. Overall, great job. Again, this is something that we would feature. It's a really nice photo. Let's go on to another one. All right, so let's go back down to drops from above. Now this one's awesome. This is definitely a feature-worthy image. We actually told, sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that name, Mishwish, Mishwike. I don't know. Does he have an actual name? Drops from above, Mishwike Waterloo? I don't know. I like it when you guys use your real name so I don't sound like a crazy person in these videos. But anyway, this is a great job. You can check out how he shot it. It's a beautiful image. I love the mood tone. Okay, so overall, I'd call this kind of like this mood coloring, where it's just mainly blues that we see. It really adds a lot to the overall image. And I think he did it with gels and plus some post-production as well. But it looks beautiful. It's a great shot. He did a great job capturing the droplets. I love how we can see detail in the droplet. And I'd say the only thing that I think would make this even better is if we were closer to the droplet. Like, let's say it was framed right here, where we could basically see almost like kind of the world in detail inside of this little droplet. Like even if I saw the photographer, I think that'd be really cool to be able to see the actual setup in the room inside of that droplet. So, but I love this shot. Again, this is something that we'd feature on the website. It's a really nice shot. It has a lot of great lines. Perfect job on the lighting, great job on the execution. And he had another submission too that was another droplet, and you can see just dramatic improvement in the water droplet shot on this. So again, cool shot. Let's go back to the next page. All right, first attempt at a headshot. And guys, we have people at all different skill levels participating in the forum. We have professionals, we have people that are picking up their cameras for the first time. Now, whenever we're giving critique, we're always taking that into consideration. And when you're giving each other critique, I would recommend the same thing, guys, because obviously, you would critique someone that just picked up a camera for the first time and shot their first shot differently than, say, some world famous photographer who should take perfect shots every single time. All right, so take that into consideration. Now let's take a look at the shot. Basically, Image Plus Photography mentioned they've done all sorts of photography of different kinds, mostly weddings, engagement, family portraits. This is the first attempt at a headshot. Let's go and look at it. Now, for a headshot, there's absolutely nothing wrong with this image. It's a good image, but I would say that it's just a little bit on the plain side. That's my only critique, is that as far as a headshot goes, it's good, but it almost feels kind of like if I was basically behind the desk casting, I wouldn't necessarily lend any additional kind of look at this individual, because the photo itself is rather a little bit on the boring side. And I think Peter Hurley is kind of the best example to look at as far as this type of look in headshots, with that white seamless and with kind of this nice clean look. He's kind of the best example. That being said, I think for your first time shooting a headshot, this is brilliant. It's a great job. You have a nice hair light. You've shot on seamless white. It looks good. It's clean. We have a good main light off to the right side. I'd probably make the main light just a little bit more dramatic by pulling it off to the side a bit more, so we have a bit more shadows in the face. That way we have a little more detail and just looks slightly more dramatic. I'd also point the chin a little bit more over to that main light, maybe tilt the head a little bit on the other side, just so we don't see the neck creases and stuff like that. Other than that, though, it looks really nice. The hair crossing over the neckline right here is maybe a titch distracting for me, because actually when the image is smaller, it looks almost like a neckline. But that's really kind of up to you on how you want to do that. Other than that, I'd really take a look. It's really hard to say what exactly it is about, when I sat down and interviewed Peter Hurley, it's hard to say exactly what it is that he's doing, because you look at those shots and you're like, okay, that's a lighting setup that a lot of us could set up, but he coaxes these looks out of these people that he has this way of defining it that is kind of like this very confident but not arrogant look, just a great look that brings a lot of added interest when you look at that photo. And that's what I would try and go for with these, is really the look that you're having them give. And it kind of helps too, knowing what they're going to use it for, what type of audition they're going to go to and everything. But again, first time, awesome job, good lighting, good post-production, very clean photo. So you should be proud of that. All right, guys, so that's it for this critiquing session. We'll see you guys in the next video.